I'm going to go ahead and give a trigger warning for this video. It is seriously one of the worst I've ever looked into. It is terrible and heartbreaking. These monsters pictured here beat a 6-year-old boy and shot him with a BB gun and then stapled him to the floor before he passed away. The little boy's name was Giovanni Chulo Jennings. And reportedly, his mother, Elena Jennings, who is pictured here, called 911 on July 30th and reported that her son was unconscious. When authorities arrived to the scene where Chulo was, it was said that he was unconscious, he was unresponsive, and he had many injuries. An autopsy determined he died from blunt force trauma and a perforated abdomen. The autopsy also reported that the child died after a very long period of both confinement and abuse. Elena and her boyfriend pictured here, which is Daniel Giacchino, were charged with multiple counts last week, but it was not until this week, actually today, I believe, they faced murder charges regarding the child's death. Prosecutors stated in court today that they spent over 100 hours viewing very disturbing videos and pictures, as well as text messages and chats on Facebook, described the awful things that happened to the little 6-year-old boy. They said everything they found was absolutely horrific. Reportedly, Chulo had bruising and lacerations on literally every part of his body, and that included the inside of his mouth. His abdomen was said to be very bloated, and he had an apparent wound from a BB gun being shot at him. Unreal. Also, during an interview, the child's 4-year-old brother stated that Daniel, pictured here on the left, would shoot both of the boys with BB guns. It was said that Chulo was confined to a pen in his mom and her boyfriend's bedroom, and both of them are pictured here. And that was where he slept on an 11-inch by 36-inch wooden board. Bless his heart. The pen also had restraints to keep him inside, as well as curtains to keep him from being able to see out of the pen. The couple also allegedly kept track of his every move with a security camera, and they punished him harshly if he misbehaved. Misbehavior would include trying to take a drink, trying to urinate, or trying to get out of his own personal prison, the cage, or the pen. It was also said that at one point the couple stapled him face first to the floor by his clothes simply because he looked out of a window. Reportedly, all the evidence that investigators found showed that Elena knew about the abuse by Daniel, and occasionally she even encouraged it, but she definitely didn't do anything to help the child or to get him medical help. The messages that the couple sent to each other included a photo that Daniel sent to Elena. It showed Chulo stapled to the floor with his head wedged in a corner. The message stated that he had solved the issue of keeping the boy's head in a corner. Absolutely sick and heartbreaking. And both of them laughed about that text message and picture. Prosecutors said it was one of the worst cases they'd ever seen. There were also other pictures that showed children handling an actual real gun and a BB gun, and there was another picture that showed 2 children pointing a gun at a third child. Reportedly, on the day of the little boy's death, Elena told authorities that he had been with his biological father, so that prompted that man's arrest. When police then questioned him, they realized he was not at all involved and that the child had indeed not been with him, so he was released. It was said, though, that that day, Daniel, pictured here, was home with the children all day long while Elena worked, and that was a pretty regular occurrence. The younger brother was interviewed by social workers and allegedly told investigators that Chulo died all day and Danny was there. I guess that's what they called Daniel. There was also an incident a few days before the child's death, where Elena admitted that her boyfriend Daniel had punched the little boy in the stomach to where he threw up. He punched him several times, and it was not the first time that Daniel had beaten the boy. Both Daniel and Elena have luckily been charged with murder and first-degree child abuse, and they are both being held without bond, and honestly, I hope they spend the rest of their life in prison. In all reality, what should happen is they should get the same treatment that the precious little boy got. This is just sick and heartbreaking. I just don't get it. How can you hurt a child? How? If you want more true crime, visit www.truecrimewithmegan.com.